Yes, my peeps. We are back. We're back in the building, dropping that content for you guys. Please, if you are just tuning in to the first 10 seconds of this show, it doesn't take 10 seconds to even leave a like. So if you could please do that for me. As per usual, guys, if you haven't subscribed already, please make sure you subscribe to the channel. Chop it up, man. Chop it up. Should have a little surprise. Hopefully, once if we can get to 1,000 subscribers, very soon, then yeah, should have a little surprise for everybody in regards to just chopping it up with you guys who thankfully watch the streams and stuff like that. I know I haven't done a lot of lives, but I will be doing a lot more in the near future. But today we are here to talk about Liverpool versus Sheffield United, the preview. Obviously, Liverpool going into this game. We all saw the Arsenal game yesterday. We'll touch on a few things there. Them getting a late winner, which obviously puts them, I think it's 5 points ahead of Liverpool at this moment in time. So Liverpool got it's really an important game against a newly promoted side. Obviously, Liverpool's away record a little bit iffy, this season. So hopefully we can correct that against newly promoted Sheffield United. We're giving you my predicted lineup. I say my predicted lineup, not really a prediction. It's the lineup I want to see, from Liverpool this evening, and I will be giving you guys my score predictions as well. Please leave in the comments what do you guys want to see. Do you disagree with my lineups? Do you disagree with my score predictions? Let me know in the comments, and let's get into it.
Now you know I'm coming through. When the growth look good on you, best believe they wanna screw now. I've been trying to climb, devil threw me in the dark. Baby, don't be insecure, you can still go make a mark like blow. Could never let them drain my soul now. Blow. Tables turning like doorknobs, wow. Blow. I think I'm about to set sail. I'm a walking, living legend, walking with my chest out. Life keep dealing me cards, I keep feeling it.
So yes, people, obviously we're back in the building. As I mentioned before, it is obviously the preview for the game this evening, Liverpool versus Sheffield, or Sheffield United versus Liverpool at Bramall Lane. They've got a new manager in. Will we see that new manager bounce and all that kind of rubbish? I hope not. You know what I mean? Hopefully we can quieten the crowd. What's that, 30,000? I think it is roughly that they get at Bramall Lane. It's going to be bouncing this evening as well. We saw, as I mentioned, with Arsenal, what happens when you got the crowd behind you, whether you're a newly promoted team or not, when the big boys come into town, do you know what I mean? Everyone's there. Do you know what I mean? And the crowd really go up a notch, and they really do play that kind of 12th man, role. And as I said, we saw that with Arsenal last night. They just about got that victory right at the death there to obviously boost their title hopes, for the season. But in regards to Liverpool, coming off that 4-3 win against Fulham at the weekend, performance-wise, obviously wasn't really there, so to speak. But as we're seeing with all these other teams, at the end of the day, as long as you can get the victory, as long as you can get the 3 points, it doesn't really matter, if I'm being totally honest with you. It's just really about getting those 3 points. Obviously, December period, you've got a lot of games coming up. After this game, we've got Crystal Palace away on, at the weekend. Again, another tough game. They always try to make it tricky, for us. But, this is the game here. I did a preview with Ends yesterday. Did the preview of Ends, went through the score predictions. Make sure you guys obviously check that out. We did the predicted lineup, or Ends did a predicted lineup, and we just looked at the team and stuff like that. I've kind of changed it up. I had a little think last night, had a little look around, and also I looked at the fixtures as well that we've got coming up. And just try to see, who should play, needs to play, will play, all that kind of stuff obviously comes into the thinking. So I kind of changed it up from the lineup that I was looking at yesterday, which by the way was absolutely fine. Whether we go with that or not is really shouldn't really be too much of an issue. But we'll obviously wait and see, because we know that Jurgen Klopp has different plans for all of us. So this is the league table as we currently sit this morning. Arsenal 5 points clear at this moment in time. Manchester City obviously playing tonight, I believe, as well. Who they've got, but I can only imagine that's going to be 3 points for them. Well, you know what's an interesting thing? Something I only really clocked. Arsenal conceded 3 goals last night. Liverpool conceded 3 goals at the weekend. Man City conceded 3 goals at the weekend. You know, so clearly, as they say, is defense really winning you titles? Do you know what I mean? When we're all conceding goals, the goal difference isn't even that crazy. Look, Man City obviously ahead with 20, Arsenal then next, and then us. You know, there's only 2 goals in it, you know, in terms of the goal difference between the top 3. I think now looking at it, obviously still kind of early, things can and will change, in my opinion. But if I'm looking at it as of today, as of the 15th match played, I think those will be the top 3 teams. The order, I don't know at this current moment in time. But we'll speak on that obviously at another time. But this is obviously it. If we win, we'll obviously go 2 points behind Arsenal. And then obviously, importantly, in my opinion, staying ahead of Manchester City. Because you really don't want to be behind Manchester City and Arsenal, and you don't want there to be a points gap. This is why I think this evening is going to be, every game is important, you know, ultimately every game is going to be important, but this game is going to be important purely because we saw Arsenal get that late victory. And I know, again, like I always say, it's still early on in the season. You can still catch up points anyway. There's enough games to be able to do so, but you just don't want to be giving leads to your rivals, to be honest with you, whether it's 5 points, whether it's 8 points, whether it's whatever it is, you really don't want to be giving them any type of lead because, you know, as we've seen with most of these teams, you know, it will give them impetus to kind of carry that on and the momentum, you know, to carry that on. You know, Arsenal obviously finishing second last season, you know, falling off, you know, at the kind of the last hurdle. You know, you don't want to give them any kind of bounce whatsoever. I don't care if it's in the first game or the 14th, 15th game. Do you know what I mean? You know, so you want to keep as close as possible to them. And I think if we are all close come the 19th game of the season, I don't know when that will be, probably by the end of December, beginning of January. Once that kind of comes into effect, we're really going to see a good title race, in my opinion, you know, towards the back end of the season. Also begs the question of the quality of the Premier League this season. Has it gone down? Do you think it's better? You know, let me know in the comments. Do you guys think it's gotten better? You know, because we're seeing such a tight kind of, I don't want to say tight race. I don't want to say tight race after this kind of time, but I would say in terms of just most of the teams, because even when I'm looking at the table here, Villa only on 29 points, only a point behind Manchester City. Do you know what I mean? And only 2 points behind us. You know what I mean? I mean, there's obviously a gap between them and Arsenal, fair enough. But in terms of second to fourth, there really isn't a gap. Villa could easily jump all of us. If we lost, both Man City and Liverpool lost, you know, on the same day and Villa won, they go second. You know, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, Aston Villa, blah, blah, blah. I'm not saying they'll last the course, but the league is looking very, very tight. And I don't think it's even that much points difference between them and I think Newcastle, your Tottenhams, your Manchester Uniteds, who've obviously been kind of poor this season in terms of performances and stuff. So do we think that the quality this season has gotten better, or are we looking at it and just thinking it's gotten worse, you know, as the season kind of, or as season's kind of gone on, and just an overall look, especially when you look around Europe and, you know, we're all complaining about the quality in the Champions League. And if you look at the quality in the Europa League as well, I don't know, just this season, I don't feel like there's a standout team or anything like that. I'm not looking at it and thinking, oh, this team's amazing, blah, blah, blah. Again, it's so early. So, you know, it's probably difficult to really tell. And this might just be one of those seasons, you know, with all the games that these guys are playing, so much football, we're seeing so many injuries. We'll obviously get onto the injury news in a second. We're seeing quite a lot of things happening in my opinion anyway, when I'm seeing one, the quality, but also just the amount of injuries and stuff like that, which I then think is then having an impact on the quality of football that we're seeing. I mean, I ain't seen Kevin De Bruyne, I don't think this at all this season. You know what I mean? One of the best players, you know, in the world. I ain't seen him, you know, barely kick a ball. I've seen Vinicius get injured. I've seen, you know, other, you know, and in other leagues, and just it's crazy. It's crazy. So yeah, man, let me know what you guys obviously think in the comments. But so we'll start off with Matip. So Matip out now. He ain't coming back until next year anyway. We're not going to see him for the rest of this year. So this year is now done, according to reports for Joel Matip. As put up here by the Anfield Talk, Liverpool are expected to be without Joel Matip for several months after the defender sustained a knee ligament injury during Sunday's win over Fulham. It's been reported quite a few other places as well. So, what does that mean for Liverpool moving forward? Does that mean that we then go out and sign a centre back? Because we're going to be down a centre back what it looks like quite a long time. And unless he can recover relatively quickly, and Matip isn't really the quickest of guys when it comes to recovery with the amount of injuries that he's obviously sustained at Liverpool. I might do a show on Matip as well, depending on what the diagnosis is at this current moment in time. I have no idea if this is season ending or just one of those. He's going to be back in April, May, which effectively is season ending in itself. But fantastic player for us. I feel so sorry for him because he's actually a dope defender. Like I won't usually say those kind of things about certain players because I'm always like, oh, bro, if you're always getting injured, and for players like Naby Keita, the Thiagos and stuff, even though we know that they are kind of quality players, or they are quality players, should I say, on their day, they look like well beaters. Obviously consistency with the injuries and stuff like that. But Matip has been, I feel like he's almost even underrated to a certain degree, of how good he actually is. When Matip gets a run of games, man, if I'm being honest, I would say he's Liverpool's second best defender. If I'm being truthfully honest, if everyone's fit and everyone was firing, all at the same time, I think he's Liverpool's second best defender, and I don't want to say it's not close between second and third, but I do think there's a slight gap between probably him and then you're talking about Gomez and Konate, do you know what I mean? Who I think are relatively on the same kind of level. Obviously, Konate is just a bit younger, so he's got that trajectory in his favour than Gomez. But yeah, man, Matip, man, I do feel sorry for him, man, him being out. I like him a lot, man. Free transfer as well. Is that Liverpool's best free transfer? So you're saying between him and James Milner? That's a debate. Do you know what I mean? It's a good debate as well. Do you know what I mean? Because we've seen what both players have been able to do at Liverpool. We've seen the impact of both players, since they've been at Liverpool. They've both been here, from the kind of beginning of that Klopp kind of era, helping us to, just even get into the Champions League on a consistent basis, then, challenging for the title, winning Champions Leagues, then winning the title, all of these kind of different things. So, yeah, man, again, I can't say enough nice things about Matip. He's definitely, the only thing that's ever annoyed me about him is his injury record. So whether you sell him, or not even sell him, whether he just goes at the end of the season, again, I think it's all going to depend on how long is he going to be out for? What does that then look like? Obviously, we are moving forward, or we're trying to move forward. So as much as, I think he's like 31, 32 years of age, a serious knee ligament injury, I don't know, man. Do you know what I mean? Like, in my opinion, if depending on how long this is, if we turn around and hear, no, Matip will be back, beginning of Feb, blah, 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 then maybe you might think, oh, okay, if he can just keep it calm between February and May, then maybe it might be all right, so to speak. But if not, excuse me, and we're looking at it could be potentially longer, then yeah, I'm thinking that you just let him go and you just go out and sign a quality centre back, in the summer, and you go from there and do your business, etc., etc., etc. But we'll get into that, I guess, at a later time. Moving on to my lineup. Let me not even, and like I said, I don't even want to call it a predicted lineup because this isn't going to be the lineup that Klopp plays. In my opinion, I'll be so shocked if he did. But this is the lineup. Now, like I said, obviously I did the stream with Enz yesterday. We spoke about midfield, we spoke about the attack. And obviously we spoke with the guys in the chat, and big up everyone who was in regards to not treating this like it's a Europa League game. But at the same time, I am like, it's like a catch-22 because I don't want to treat this like a Europa League game. But at the same time, I'm like, we can rest players. I don't think we have to go full strength in this kind of game. Do you know what I mean? With so many games coming up, I can't see why we can't play this team and still go out there and get a victory. And there's something else that Enz actually touched upon, which I'll get on in a second. So, goalkeeper, pretty self-explanatory. Keller, it's going to be a big game for him. You know what I mean? He just needs to have... The thing is, it's not even a problem if he concedes in this game. I don't think that's actually the issue. The issue that he's going to have is if he is going to concede, it just can't be poor goalkeeping and stuff like that. Once those kind of things happen, that's where, in my opinion, that's where the issues, start to... So, that's where he's just got to, that's where he's just got to kind of look at it and just hope that he, even like I said, conceding isn't really going to be, in my opinion, the main issue, so to speak, because we've been conceding with Alisson in goal. So you're not exempt, you're not better than Alisson. So if we can concede 2 or whatever goals with Alisson in goal, we can concede with you, and, even on that, I think where we've relied, and big up Cal, because, we was on the Jamie Phillips show last night, myself, Cal, Jerry, Enns, Jack, and Jamie, and we were talking about, just Liverpool and obviously the predicted lineup and, Keller in goal. And one thing Cal said, which I was like, this is exactly what I myself have been screaming, but a lot of people have been screaming. We relied so much on individual brilliance, in my opinion, more so than the way that we are playing. Now, that's not a problem, so to speak, if you can be like a Manchester City or even like an Arsenal, so to speak, where your main players can always play. So Saka, like a Salah, if you can almost guarantee like a Salah or a Van Dijk, can more or less stay fit, give or take, all the time, then you'll be fine. Do you know what I mean? You will be fine in terms of getting getting these guys to perform, week in, week out. That's not really too much of an issue. Obviously, we know with Liverpool, their track record with the injuries and stuff like that, that's not going to be likely. So if that's not going to be likely, that's where the problem comes into it, because then, and especially in, would I say, the last 2 seasons, this season and last season especially, we relied heavily, and I do mean heavily, on, I think we relied on Alisson the most last season. Obviously, Salah's going to get, he's going to get his goals and stuff like that. But we relied so much on him to get us out of trouble. Now, he's the goalkeeper. It's his job to make saves. He's a world-class goalkeeper. But it's almost like I shouldn't have to see, like, it's something I always mention about goalkeepers in a general sense. The best goalkeepers throughout time, you don't really see them until you need to see them. And when I say that, is because they're not getting peppered every week and all of that and conceding chances left, right, and centre. When they do make those world-class saves, and it's, again, like an outfield player, it's in those big moments. We talk about, strikers and talk about other players. Where were you in the final? Or, we always do, like, Thierry Henry's record in finals, for Arsenal. I don't think it was that great. We're like, where are these guys? Obviously, he's a fantastic player. But, just in a general sense, we talk about these players like, where were you in the biggest of moments, the biggest moments, for your team? So when we're talking about a goalkeeper, in those moments, it's, I don't know, it doesn't even have to be a Champions League final. It could just be, a really, really important game. And obviously the team's been, imperious before, but then, we've had to call upon you for a save, or you've had to, save a penalty. It might not be as much though. Whereas with Alisson, it's like every game you're conceding God knows how many chances, and this guy is constantly saving you. I shouldn't have to see the full repertoire of his skills on a consistent basis. We should be doing a lot better than that. I'm not saying you shouldn't see any of it. Of course you should, because the goalkeepers are going to get called upon, and that's what they're there for. But we're seeing it so frequently that you're like, it's just become a norm now. Yeah, Liverpool are going to concede 3 or 4 chances in a game. Alisson's probably going to save 3 of those, and the other one they're probably just going to miss. Blah blah blah. Not a problem. For me, I don't want to see that, and that's why. When we talk about Alisson, that's probably why, in my opinion, he will always get elevated a bit more. He is a fantastic goalkeeper, and in my opinion, is the best goalkeeper in the world right now. But I'm sorry, I shouldn't be seeing all of his repertoire of skills every single game. It shouldn't be every game I'm watching, and it's like he has to pull off a worldie, otherwise we are pissed. And Keller is not a world-class goalkeeper; he's an okay goalkeeper. Do you know what I mean? So he might be able to pull off a world-class save every now and again, but it's definitely not going to be that consistent enough. So when you have then got someone like him in goal, you need to do better as a unit, not just the defense, because it's not just, the defense who are there, but the whole team needs to do better. Whole team needs to be defending better, so that we don't have to face 3 goals at the weekend, or we don't have to face 6 shots in a game, and, we're just praying that they miss, or they put it wide, because we have to then call upon the goalkeeper. And it shouldn't be like that, man. The goalkeeper's getting peppered too much. We're not bottom half team. You know what I mean? We shouldn't be doing things like that. So yeah, that's just my thing on Keller. But he's in goal, so self-explanatory. Left back, I've gone with Tsimikas again. He's in a good little in a good little space, in my opinion. Like I said, there was a lot of talk about him. myself included, we were a little bit worried. Oh, is he going to do well? He's been a bit janky this season, blah, blah, blah. Listen, he has proved his doubt is wrong so far. Just keep it up. I'm happy with it. And what he's giving me, he isn't even giving me, oh, he was a 9 out of 10 this game. No. He's giving me the steady 7s. That he wasn't doing that before. He would go from like an 8-9 to like a 2-3. And you're just like, come on, Tsimikas, like that's too big. But maybe he just needs this run of games, and he knows he's going to play. He knows he's the first choice left back now that Robertson is obviously out. And if he just keeps performing like this, hey, again, questions for, another time. But, happy with Tsimikas there. Maybe you could go Gomez if you wanted to. But yeah, Van Dijk, self-explanatory. And now I've gone with Kwanzaa ahead of Konate and ahead of Gomez. Now, like I said on Enzo's show, there is obviously a pecking order in terms of, the centre-back. So it would go, I would assume, Van Dijk, Matip. Then I feel like it's a toss-up between Konate and Gomez. I feel like it just depends on whether he's going to play Trent at right back or not this game, blah, blah, blah. But I've gone with Kwanzaa. And like I said, I had a thought about this, and I said, you know what? Because Matip is out, I feel like you do, because we know that like it's not like he's being rested or whatever. He's actually out now. So, and he's going to be out for a considerable amount of time. I do feel like you do need to maybe bring in Kwanzaa just a little bit more. I think just, again, in a game like this, and I don't want to be disrespectful, but Kwanzaa shown that he can perform. Do you know what I mean? So I'm not, talking about a guy who's like a Bendo, for example, where, yeah, we're kind of, maybe he could perform, like, there's so many questions surrounding him, and obviously he's really, really young. But with Kwanzaa, even though he is, again, really young, 20 years of age, I feel like he's shown that he can, do a job here, and I think with the fact that we have got Crystal Palace at the weekend away with their threats, down the sides especially, I feel like with Konate, I don't trust him playing too many games in a week. Like, I mean, I'll be real, I don't even trust him playing 2 games a week. I'm like, with the fact that Matip is now injured and is going to be out, we need to be wrapping these players up in cotton wool. Do you know what I mean? What the worst thing we could have is have, Konate, break down again, injured, and then we're only stuck with, Gomez and Kwanzaa, kind of thing. And then we're almost throwing in players at the deep end. And then, Kwanzaa might not have had too much game time and blah, blah, blah. So that's why I've gone for Kwanzaa instead of Konate or instead of Gomez. And only because Trent will obviously, in my opinion, he'll play, in that right back position. Again, probably self-explanatory, but you could, and I could have put Gomez in there and then obviously save Trent, for the game at the weekend. But I think, I don't know, maybe he might play Gomez at the weekend at right back. I don't know, and then put Trent in the middle, to get more control in, so to speak, in that game. I don't really know. I don't really know what his thinking is behind that, but that was just my thinking. Again, you could easily go Konate, you could easily go Gomez in this game. Really not a problem. I'm just worried because of this Matip injury, and I know Liverpool's track record. I don't trust Liverpool's track record. That's why I'm like, I'd rather put Kwanzaa in now. He then gets rested for the game at the weekend, or he's not going to play the game at the weekend. Not a problem. I think Crystal Palace will provide their own kind of threat, so to speak. And then we've got a Europa League game next week. So then that's when Kwanzaa then comes back in. Then again, and again, should I say, sorry, you're then saving the Gomezes and the Konates potentially, or you're playing Kwanzaa in this game, because I feel like if you drop, because we've got the Europa League game, it's going to be, obviously we don't need to win that game. So he might just play a really, really youthful team. And then that's where Kwanzaa comes in as more the experienced kind of player, alongside potentially a Gomez at right back, and then whoever at, the left centre back role, whatever. But I just think we've really got to manage the minutes properly now, especially because now we know Matip is going to be out. And it sounds like I'm saying a lot in regards to, it's just Matip, but we know what Liverpool's track record is, man. I really don't trust it at all, 1 ounce. So yeah, that's just kind of my thinking. I think players in this period of time, with the games that are coming up, it's going to need some rhythm. So yeah, that's kind of my defense. But again, I've got no problem with, if you want to throw Konate in there, if you want to throw Gomez in it, whatever, I'm really good with that. And remember, we can also make subs. So if we're, comfortable in the game, come half time or come 50, 60 minutes, start making those subs now. Get a few players, if you do play this back line, all right, you know what, we've got 30 minutes left of the game. We're 3-4-0 up. Guess what? Gomez, Konate, you guys come on, get your little run out, and then you're ready for the next game. Do you know what I mean? But we're not, you know, putting too much pressure, you know, on you playing and too much strain because we've got too many games coming up, man. And I just, yeah, I'm just worried about that. Midfield. Now, this is the funny one. So I've gone with Endo, Jones, and Elliott. Endo again. We've spoken at lengths about this guy. I've gone with Endo purely because I think in the last few games he has improved from what I've seen, and for what he brings to the team in terms of progressing the ball forward and stuff like that. I'm just like, give him a chance. Again, it's Sheffield United away. Not to disrespect them, but I feel like if you wanted to try something, you can. You know, in this kind of game. So why not? You know, again, McAllister, and obviously you can see there's no Szoboszlai. Let's rest those guys, but not even, you don't have to rest them, so to speak, for a full 90. They will probably come on in the game. Again, let's get some minutes in you. You do need a little bit of rest and stuff like that. Where you can get rest and where you can do these things, I always say just do it. Because then when you've then got those other games, you know, tough games that are coming up, you don't want to be fatigued and all leggy and all that kind of stuff. Like, it's just long. You know, you really don't want to be going through that. So that's why I've gone with Endo in the middle there. And again, it's for Endo to then stake his claim. You know, if he then plays well in this game, then he's got a question to ask at the weekend. So, you know, it's a win-win really situation kind of thing. But and if he doesn't, then you put McAllister back there, you know, for the weekend with no problem. Well, not no problem, but it's like, okay, cool. Well, Mac, you know, you just go back into that position. Then I've gone with Jones ahead of Gravenberch. I think Gravenberch, again, last few games, he's been okay. He has been okay. But I think in this kind of game, we might just need a little bit more control, so to speak. So that's probably why I've gone with him. But again, you can bring him on if you feel, you know, Jones isn't really doing the biz. And then I've gone with Elliott at right centre mid as opposed to Szoboszlai. I do think Szoboszlai, I'm not buying the tired thing, but if he is tired, I'm just like, if that is the reason why he's not performing and whatever, or he's just not really been that good in the last like 5-6 games or whatever it is, then yeah, he does need, again, just a little bit of time to just, okay, you know what, I'll be on the bench 60 minutes and then I'll come on 30 minutes, run around. And then at the weekend, we really going to need you, you know, in that kind of game. And I think Elliott, again, he's more of an impact player. That's the only thing with Elliott. He's better off the bench from what we've seen this season than he is when he starts games. But I feel, and again, this is what I mentioned a bit earlier in this video, something that I spoke about on Enza's show, or he spoke about, should I say, when you've got Jones, or when you've got at least Endo and Elliott and maybe a Gravenberch potentially, but let's say these three, I feel like we move the ball a lot quicker. And when you, and again, Kwanzaa is almost replacing Matip anyway, because he can bring the ball out, he's comfortable in the ball, he can pass, he's good at, you know, defending, his IQ's there, all that positioning, all of that kind of stuff. He's kind of a little bit more like a Matip, in my opinion, than he would be a Van Dijk. But that's why I think those two can complement each other well. And then in the midfield, I feel like when you've got Endo and Elliott in the midfield, we just move the ball quicker than when you've got McAllister and Szoboszlai and Jones. I feel like that's where we become slow, because then Trent obviously comes in, and again, he's another player who kind of slows it down, you know, kind of thing, because he's not really, in my opinion, Trent, a quick thinker type of player. He is a player who wants to put his head up, play those fantastic, you know, crossfield passes and all those kind of things. And I just think that we will be playing a lot quicker with these guys. If you've seen how our Europa League campaign has been, you've seen when we do have the Endos and the Elliots in there, the ball gets moved a lot faster. And I think that's how we're going to catch someone like a Sheffield United out, because they're going to be amped, they're going to be pumped, they're going to be gassed, and all these kind of different things. I just don't feel slow football would be the way forward in this kind of game. Hit them fast, we're good to go. So yeah, that's kind of my thinking behind the midfield. But again, if you feel someone else should be in there, let me know, obviously, in the comments. But yeah, that's just my thinking behind it. And then I've gone with Diaz, Gakpo, and Salah. Salah, self-explanatory. Although, again, I keep saying that we do need to start thinking about getting someone else to play in these kind of games. Diaz, again, Jota's injured. I probably would have gone with maybe Jota up top and then Gakpo out left. But Diaz, not again, he's another one in the last few games. He's been a little bit iffy. I know he got that goal, I think, in Europa League. Fair enough. But he's just been a little bit meh, so to speak. But we ain't got no one else really to. I mean, you could play Gakpo there and maybe Núñez up top, but I would rather Núñez come off the bench. Hence why I've got Gakpo in the middle. And if Sheffield United are going to pack out the midfield and stuff like that, we might need someone who can just back at the midfield or the defense, we're going to need a bit more space. We're going to need someone to maybe come into the midfield potentially to just help out. And obviously that midfield is quite inexperienced. And again, Gakpo's not a midfielder, so to speak, but I do feel like he can potentially come in there and be the one who actually drives forward a bit more. So you got him driving forward, from the midfield. You got Elliot, who's a quick thinker. You got Endo, who can play those passes into the forward line, into the attacking third relatively quick. And then you've still got your controller in Curtis Jones. So again, that's just my thinking behind it. And then, like I say, second half, you can then start bringing on your Nunez's. If we need something, either way, any scenario, you can bring Nunez on. Whether it's we need a goal, just bring Nunez on, to create that kind of chaos, or we're comfortable, you can bring Nunez on, get a bit of confidence building up, and then literally just kind of built up, should I say, and then you can kind of go from there. That again, that's just my thinking in terms of the way that we potentially could go this evening. He might go full strength and say, yeah, I'm just gonna fully max out these players until someone is tired, and then I'll just rotate one or two there. But I just feel like where we can make those rotations, then I feel like we should be doing that. And you listen, look, with no disrespect, to Sheffield United, they gave Man United and Man City tough games, at Bramall Lane. So that's not to say we should be going there with our attacking power, even having the Diaz, Gakpo, and Salah there. I feel like that should be still enough. You know what I mean? And I think Cody's kind of, I wouldn't say fully deserved, so to speak, but he does need a chance as well. You know what I mean? We've given Nunez enough chances. He's played in enough games, not really scoring that much, so to speak. So why not give someone else a go? Do you know what I mean? And again, with players being injured, I know Jota's back running now from what I've seen. So he should be back quite shortly. Alisson's obviously coming back. He should be back and ready for that Manchester United game, potentially even before. Who knows? But I just think where we can rotate, and where this being a very tricky kind of month, not in terms of necessarily fixtures, but just more in terms of the congestion of the fixtures. This is where I'm saying, yeah, maybe we can kind of rotate, just a tad. But again, let me know obviously what you guys think in terms of my predicted lineup. I'll put it out there again. So Keller in goal, Tsimikas, Van Dijk, Kwanzaa, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Endo, Jones, Elliott, Luis Diaz, Cody Gakpo, and Mohamed Salah. Again, let me know. Now to my score prediction. I've gone with a 4-2 victory. Like I said, they have given both Manchester United and Man City tough games at Bramall Lane. I just feel like we should have the firepower to be able to put these guys to the sword, and we should be really. I know that doesn't look as comfortable, but I think it'll be one of those where they'll be gassed. It'll be, in my opinion, it will almost be. I think it will be almost like the game that we saw last night between Luton and Arsenal, where Luton gassed, trying to do their thing, blah, blah, blah. But then I think at one point the quality will just kind of tell. We'll probably go like 4-1 up. They'll probably score relatively late on, make it a nervy last like 10 minutes. They'll miss a chance where we're thinking, bloody hell, if they score that, they'll probably score a fourth. But this is kind of my scoreline for this evening. Let me know, obviously, what you think in the comment section the scoreline will be. But there you have it. That is my match preview. So yeah, I think it's an important game. It's an important game, man. You can't take anything for granted in the Premier League. So Liverpool will really have to make sure that they are on it this evening. I think it'll be a professional performance. I know I'm saying we're going to concede 2 goals, but I think that'll be more just Sheffield United just being gas. I mean, I'm saying all of this now. We might go there and win 6-0. Do you know what I mean? And it's just going to be like, oh, bloody hell. You know what? Liverpool, really, really kept it professional and put in a really, really good performance. I do want to see that. I do want to start seeing, good performances all round on a more consistent base, and then winning as well. Sounds like I'm asking for a lot, but I don't feel like I am. But ultimately, we just need to get, those 3 points, and hopefully we can then start, not climbing, but just closing that gap, obviously on Arsenal. I'm not even entertaining a defeat. First of all, the fan base will have an absolute meltdown. If Liverpool were to lose, this game this evening, it will be absolutely mad. Sheffield United, obviously, they have got a new manager in. I think Klopp mentioned about binning the analysis that we had done on Sheffield United as soon as they appointed Chris Wilder, which is blatantly true because you might have had a game plan for Sheffield United prior to them getting him in, but now he's in, he might play completely differently than the way that you was thinking. And then those are the kind of things that I think catch you off guard, even in a game like this, because you're like, well, I don't really know how he's going to set up, because some managers will just kind of keep it the same the first couple of games and then try and implement their own plan. He might just come in and say, nah, man, I'm going to completely change it up. And it will probably be the smarter potential thing to do. You know what I mean? He knows Sheffield United. He knows the fans. He knows some of the players and stuff like that. So, you know, it could be one of those things. It could be. But again, let's think positive. Let's actually think some level of positivity. But yes, guys, let me know in the comment section, what do you guys think? The scoreline will obviously be this evening. Will Liverpool get that victory and close the gap on Arsenal in first place? Let me know who your scorers and stuff will be in the comment section below. I'm G. That's the match preview done and dusted, and we are out.